WWE dropped a massive CM Punk hint, and guys, we need to talk about it, plus a new WWE signing. The studio is still not finished. We're almost done, but we got to talk about it. Don't forget, I'm giving away this championship belt at 100,000 subscribers. All right, guys, really quick, I want to jump into the MJF stuff because there's obviously been a lot of talk about MJF and whether or not MJF is signed with the company or if he's actually going to be a free agent. Well, a new report dropped from House of Wrestling, and this report really got me thinking that perhaps AEW and MJF, they re-signed a long time ago. And honestly, I think everybody kind of knew this. I think everybody's kind of been thinking about this for a while, so it's not necessarily shocking. But now I'm curious as to how this affects AEW from a storytelling perspective, because if you really put MJF in a situation where going into 2024, he continues to talk about, potentially signing with WWE on AEW television, but then it's already known that he's re-signed with the company quietly, it doesn't have the same impact, And I think that could potentially ruin a lot from a storytelling perspective. And I think maybe it gets to the point where if House of Wrestling is true in the sense that he did quietly re-sign with AEW, then perhaps AEW will have to drop that story. Now, at the end of the day, I truly thought that MJF had re-signed with the company because it just kind of seemed like it was, it was becoming a little too much. The whole thing of feeding into the WWE versus, AEW bidding war. Do I think WWE wanted MJF? Yeah. I think so. And I think you would have to be dumb not to believe that WWE would be interested in MJF. Now, is MJF going to stay with AEW after 2027 or 2028 or whatever his contract duration is? No, I think MJF right now had to do what was best for MJF, which was staying as the top guy with AEW. But you never know what's going to happen with AEW in the next 4 to 5 years. And if AEW starts to really go downhill, maybe MJF can go get a bigger bag from WWE. That's something to obviously consider. With that being said, though, I do want to point out one thing. With AEW and MJF, he fits there so incredibly well. He does. And yes, I would love to see him in WWE one day. I would love to see what WWE can do with MJF. But AEW lost CM Punk. AEW lost Jade Cargill. Losing MJF would have been absolutely catastrophic to the company. So, no, in terms of the better health of the wrestling industry, MJF remaining in AEW is literally best for the industry. So, with that being said, it is what it is. I've always kind of believed that maybe he wasn't going to be a free agent. And, obviously you kind of teeter-totter because, it's wrestling. Things are scripted. They're trying to, push out stories and a narrative and whatever. But nonetheless, I fully expect MJF remaining in AEW as House of Wrestling has quietly reported. A new WWE signing has been revealed this time. Oh, it's Maddie Renkowski. That's right. PW Insider has reported that Maddie Renkowski was at the WWE Performance Center last week and is believed to have signed a WWE NXT deal. We have seen her across multiple promotions. We saw her in AEW Dark, and then we saw her as a competitor in the NWA. Yeah, I think this is a solid signing, right? This is what WWE is going to be doing. We know that Jay Malachi and Lucky Ali are going to WWE. We know that WWE is bringing Brogan Finley. They're going after indie talent again. Well, if you watch this channel when WWE was doing that in 2020 and 2021, let me tell you, that was not something I was a big fan of. It was not something I was a big fan of. If WWE is going to raid the indies, I have a major problem with it. Now, I understand it's for NXT, but at the end of the day, I don't want WWE to lose its vision for what NXT is and what it was always supposed to be. And this was a big issue in the black and gold era. And I really, really dedicated a lot of time to the NXT brand from 2012 all the way through and through. And when WWE was bringing in Timothy Thatcher and this person and that person, every single week it was somebody different. They brought in Blake Christian, and it just became too much, man. It became too much. And it's not that I had anything against those people. They're all talented performers. But WWE was signing so many indie talent, it kind of seemed like they were just doing it to prevent AEW from signing them. And then eventually what happened was WWE did like 200 releases, and it was just super problematic. Maddie Renkowski will be a good fit for WWE, and she'll be a good fit in NXT, and I hope it goes well for her. as the same for Jay Malachi and Lucky Ali and everybody else that they're bringing in. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I do not want to see this become a trend where WWE is just signing absolutely everybody. It's really important that WWE focuses on the talent that they have. And, of course, with the indie wrestling scene, as more people leave the indies to go to WWE, AEW, then you got to remember that hurts the independent wrestling scene very much. So, obviously on one hand, I want these people to go and get paid and live their dream. On the other hand, I wanted to see the entire industry thrive. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things go down. Maddie Rankowski's got a lot of personality, and that's something that WWE looks for. And I think this could be a good thing for WWE, especially when you look at NXT. She's young, she could be developed, but she already has some skill and some experience as well, which is always helpful. It's a lot easier bringing in somebody like Maddie Rankowski than it is to bring somebody in from the NIL program. And sometimes that's not a bad thing, but of course you want to see them do more development too. So let's see what happens with WWE. Maddie Rankowski, new signing confirmed by PW Insider. And that brings us to our final topic of today's video. CM Punk, guys, this right here, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. This is the image that WWE put out. It's the War Games advertisement for the match card. Jey Uso, Dominic Mysterio, and if you look in between the fence, it does resemble CM Punk. And obviously, a lot of people know it's a hot topic. And honestly, I understand why a lot of people are pissed off about it. I understand why a lot of people don't give a shit about the CM Punk stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is incredibly important that WWE gets it right when it comes to CM Punk and his return if they bring him in. WWE announced Randy Orton ahead of time. Shinsuke Nakamura appears in a video, and he's talking about you're close, and he's still waiting, and blah, 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 blah. And I love Shinsuke Nakamura, and he's absolutely killing it right now. But there's no open challenge announced for Survivor Series. So whatever WWE does here, if they are in fact bringing in CM Punk, it is absolutely important that they go about it the right way, because now it has gotten to the point where even though WWE hasn't necessarily confirmed CM Punk to be there, they are leaning into it very heavily. Now, keep in mind, with this graphic that you see on the screen, you have to keep this in mind, because a lot of people are tending to forget this. They did the same thing with Bray Wyatt for Extreme Rules. They are masters of teasing things, and this time they are leaning into it very, very heavily. If Shinsuke Nakamura and CM Punk does not go down as Survivor Series, they are going to piss off their fans. Now, I think that's the only way they could bring in CM Punk, by the way, because it's just Shinsuke Nakamura. He's the only one who's really teasing anything at this point. I don't know, man. This is crazy. Chicago's roof will blow off if CM Punk shows up. But this right here, I think you guys could see it in the fence. I think it's a little too noticeable. And it sounds like it looks like a massive hint that CM Punk is coming. At this point, if he doesn't show up at Survivor Series, I don't know what to say, man. We could keep making videos and videos and videos about CM Punk returning or not returning, but this is literally the same thing as the Cody Rhodes saga. A lot of teases, a lot of things being brought up, a lot of things being reported, a lot of confusion. Nobody's confirming anything at this point. WWE could be trying to swerve everybody to keep up for the big surprise. Who knows? But at the end of the day, one thing I do know is you could win one WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt once I hit 100,000 subscribers.